Good morning and welcome to day 16 of the Arctic Adventure. I'm parked up in the middle of Kiruna, which is the northernmost town of Sweden. And I just cooked up a quick breakfast and I'm enjoying the sun in the cab because at night it got down to 5 degrees, which definitely is the coldest so far. But still I managed quite well. And the nice thing about being this far north is the sunrise is already at 4 and now it's 7 sharp and the sun is already up pretty high and just blasting heat over here. Then the plan is to spend the entire day walking around Kiruna and pretty much exploring everything it has to offer. It is a quite long city because it has 2 city centers, but more on that later. Because I'm really hungry and I want to try out my new granola I bought yesterday. Combined with my raspberry yogurt. That's fantastic. Now for today's itinerary, I pretty much wanted to follow the town's history, which means starting at the train station. And after looking it up again, it's 6 kilometers to walk, so I'm gonna take the car. Now I think it's a good time for a little disclaimer. This is still part of a daily road trip vlogging series and not a documentary about Kiruna. So I've only read up on some facts of the town this morning and I might get some of those twisted and there might be some parts I'll leave out completely. So I hope that clears up some stuff. And with that said, we've already made our way pretty much through the entire town. So let's get out of the van and start exploring the streets. So that's even a better start than the train station because this building is the Sami Cultural Center. And the first written mention of why this town started to exist dates back to 1696 when the Sami people discovered that there's 2 hills around here with a ton of iron ore. So that one over there is the Kiruna. And then on the other side of the town is the Luossavaara. And also it's so quiet here. There's barely any cars and yeah, at least it's cold so that people don't have the windows open. But it feels so wrong walking through the city this early in the morning, mispronouncing their local words. It's a beautiful walk though. Now it's pretty interesting. You can see that they used sawdust for insulation. But back to the 17 and 1800s, for countless of years, it just wasn't feasible to extract the iron ore. They pretty much left the deposits be as they were. And then they slowly started extracting some during summer and then waiting until winter. Then they used sleds to get all the iron ore out. But that was just such a tedious process. And yeah, wide-scale adoption wasn't really here. And that changed as in pretty much every city around the world, I guess. With our next stop, let's find the train station. Now we've got a pretty neat view from here, pretty much overlooking the entire mining operations, on both sides actually. Well, it's kind of hidden behind the trees. So in around 1880, they started building a train line from Luleå up to here, and then even extending to Narvik in Norway, which officially opened up in 1903. As you could imagine, that's when the real boom happened. And just a dozen years later, the entire line was electrified, which was pretty advanced for the time. So with this new iron ore line, or how the Swedish call it, Malmbanan, they had the logistics figured out. They had the iron ore in the mountains, but they needed a place to stay. So the decision was to look at that hill, and then take the place right in the middle. And that worked out great for the past 100 years, but yeah, you'll see later why now that's kind of a problem. So that one over there is the main mine and responsible for most of the production of iron ore of this town. And that's just a smaller one with a deposit in the back of the hill. But the hill itself is used as a little skiing area, which is pretty funny. And there's 3 slopes, one for the kids, one for the tourists, and one for the locals. Or at least that's what I found on the slope plan. And I think I hear a train coming. So unfortunately they demolished the old train station in 2017 and now they built this one, which is I think far less pretty, but I'm sure they had their reasons. But that's what it looked like when it opened up. And I guess those 4 guys helped build the station and the railway. And it's been 3 minutes and the train is still going. I don't think it ever ends. It's like an infinite train. Also talking about the ski slopes, if you're into winter sports and especially cross-country skiing, I'm sure you've heard of the names of Elvira and Hanna Öberg, and they actually come from Kiruna. I'm not sure if they still live here, but I think that's pretty cool that you have 2 Olympians from a town of 16 or 17,000 people. I found the end. Now that's a ball joint of a huge animal. Now we're already completely at the end of the town, but I want to go check out the little train depot over there. Also, there was a railway worker, but he still looked kind of sleepy, so I didn't want to bother him. But how cool would that be to hop on a train and get like a private ride? But I'm sure they wouldn't be able to do that liability-wise. Maybe I should still ask. Now, while I walk back to the train depot, let me tell you a bit more about the city planning involved. So I think today we got really lucky, but usually there are incredibly strong winds. And to minimize that, when planning the city, they laid it out in a way that all the streets are curved and kind of blocking the wind. And that's how you end up with a town that looks like this. And just to give you some orientation, we spent the night over there and drove somewhere over here, and now we're walking all the way back here, and that's kind of the historic town center. Also, I'm getting kind of mixed up. I started talking about Kiruna in the year of 1696, but archaeological findings have shown that this region was inhabited for the past 6,000 years, so it wasn't complete wilderness down here. So once the city planning was accepted in 1900, there was a crazy boom of residents. In 1899, there were only 18 people registered. That increased to 222 a year later, 7,500 in 1910, and almost 13,000 in 1930. And to move all the workers around, since as you've seen the distances here are pretty big for a small town, they built the world's northernmost tram in 1907, making regular trips from the city center to the mines. There's a bunch of steam coming out of the mountain over there, or maybe it's smoke. It's a bit hard to tell from here. Guess that's a good time for us to leave as well and check out the old city center. Now, from what I've read online, there aren't too many original buildings standing. In fact, I think it's just a few, and most of it was rebuilt over the years, because before and during both World Wars, this wasn't actually an official city, and quite a few parts of the town were kind of unofficially built. That kind of changed in 1948 after the war, when the town of Kiruna officially became a city. That's also the time when they moved away from solely being a mining city and diversifying into different sectors. So we've already seen the winter sports section, then also during the winter, this is a perfect place to watch the northern lights. So quite a lot of tourists make their way here, but also during summer, as you can go tour the mines. There's a lot of hikes around here, and I mean, you've seen it yesterday on the drive here. Overall, it's just a super cool place. But also in the 1950s, they opened up a space research facility from the Luleå Technical University, and that still exists today. In fact, in 2007, they opened up another project called the Spaceport Sweden, which is supposed to become Europe's main launch site for private space flights. But even before space flights, since 1974, there have been regular balloon starts for meteorological research. And for the past 40 years, the European Space Agency has operated a satellite station. It is kind of space focused here. I think that's pretty cool. Also, I'd guess you're not gonna find any e-scooters further up north in the world. Might be wrong about that one though. When there's a bunch of helicopter traffic, I don't know what they're doing. Now, last but not least, we couldn't talk about tourism in this town without mentioning the Ice Hotel. And I'm sure you've heard about that before. And I think they start construction around October and it opens up in December. And it sure is a pretty cool place. But now let's get back into town. Now it's so quiet out here. I think I'm just going to record a voiceover that explains why I've been talking about two city centers while we take a walk through the park or the city or whatever we'll find, because it's a really interesting story. And I could read the Wikipedia article, but I'm not sure if that's copyrighted. I've had Claude come up with a script and yeah, I checked the biggest facts and those are all true. So here we go. Now, the problem with the city is that the ore body doesn't really sit flat under the mine. It tilts a bit down and under the town. So every year they go deeper, the mining follows the ore sideways, straight towards the city center. And when you hollow out that much rock, the ground above doesn't stay put. It sags, it cracks, and it fails. This really sounds like AI, I apologize. LKAB, the state-owned mining company, warned about this back in 2004. Subsidence from its operations would crack the surface and wreck Kiruna's buildings and infrastructure. In 2020, mining activity here triggered a magnitude 4.9 earthquake. Now, I've read up on this a bit further and there was no bodily harm, but quite a few buildings had to be demolished afterwards. And also that was hilarious. I just crossed paths with Andre from the Czech Republic. He's taking a train to Narvik. And yeah, I got one more subscriber. Hi Andre, if you watch this. So back to the serious stuff. After the earthquake, there were pretty much two options. either stop mining or move the town. So they started relocating in 2004 and it's scheduled to finish in 2035. The relocation affects about 6,000 people and 2,700 homes, with compensation running to roughly 2.1 billion euros. Some of the buildings get demolished, some get dismantled and rebuilt, and a handful get moved in one piece. Which would bring us to the most famous building, the wooden church, but we'll see that later on. The reason this is all worth it is because apparently this mine produces 80% of all the iron ore mined in Europe, and recently, right next to it, they found the largest rare earth deposit in Europe. I'm a bit off script, but I hope this gave you a little overview over why this town has to move. And I just think that's so interesting. Well, I've been talking for a few minutes, but I didn't even reach the proper city center. It's just so huge, and I've already walked about 12 kilometers. But now it looks like we finally reached it. There was a rock music club until a few years ago. And I think this is still the active fire station. Does look like a lighthouse though. Then we've got the city buildings appearing in the back. So for some orientation, we parked somewhere over here and then walked an entire circle around this thing, all the way to over here. And now we're on our way back to the car, because you're only allowed to park for 4 hours, and I thought that would be way more than enough. And yeah, now there's only 1 hour left. Yeah, I was wrong about this still being active for sure. I mean, there's not even a way out. And now that I got closer, it looks like all of those buildings are abandoned. At least that one is. This one for sure as well. So I think now we're kind of in the hot spot of where the stuff is moving away from. That's so crazy. You see them strip all the metal before, I guess, just plowing all the buildings to the ground, while the mining operation continues as if there was nothing happening in the town. That might be the wildest experience I've had so far on the trip. I wish I could go into the abandoned part, but there's no chance. I mean, just look at the gate. Now that's so crazy. Maybe it just looks like it, but that facade kind of seems like it's almost new. And I guess they just completely demolished everything here. I couldn't really find a good map that shows exactly what's happening where. But I mean, this looks abandoned as well. Guess no one's gonna go to this school anymore. So that must have been some sort of communal building. And it's just all empty. I'm a bit confused now. It wasn't fenced off, but it looks like I'm in the construction site now. But I don't know. There's some sort of pipeline down here. Something with diabetes, but I can't understand that. Yeah, it's hard to get a good view. There still are a few cars and stuff hanging from the balcony, but other than that, it doesn't look inhabited at all. Hey, are you from here?
I live in Kiruna.
Is this all abandoned?
It's a few people who lives in some buildings, but 90% of are all gone.
And they will destroy everything here?
This place here, it's I think it was 28. They finished one area at the time. It's a lot of buildings. It's a hotel, banks. They are gone.
So the old city center is
this is
this old city center.
you
Okay,
have half centrum here, other half.
is already gone. Okay,
Yes.
wow.
The big road over there. You see a playground there? There is the limit.
And to this side, also the road.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But in 38, there is depending on if they find more. I live 1 kilometer, 1.5 kilometer there, and LKAB say 38. They're our house. They're gonna rip it down. We have lots of people here in Kiruna, so hoping we have new apartment, new building. I'm 52 years old. I was here. This is my
Childhood?
yes.
So you grew up?
Yes, here.
Oh wow.
We live down here, but they demolished that house. So it's a lot of memories. Well, good luck.
Thank you. It was nice to talk to you.
Yeah.
Bye bye. I gotta say, I'm completely speechless. The atmosphere is so crazy here. As you heard the guy say, it's like he grew up here for 50 years. And you're pretty much losing almost all of your like physical memories to a place. I mean, it's one thing if your school gets torn down and, I don't know, your favorite grocery store closes. But here the entire old city is just getting completely demolished. I mean, you get to look into the apartments, and someone called this home not too long ago. The houses aren't even in a bad shape, it's just that they found iron ore under the city. It is crazy. This place as well. I mean, you could pretty much move into here. I wonder what it says on this flyer here. I'm gonna translate that real quick. Oh wow, so they have time until September and then everything's gonna get removed and demolished and whatever. Now we should really make our way back to the car, but first I wanted to check out those lonely buildings down here. I hope they are abandoned as well. Does Kirkan means church? I'm not sure if it's abandoned, so yeah, I'm gonna move on to the next one. I've seen that at quite a few places that they've left their lights running. I wonder why. Same thing over here. I gotta be careful here. There's a hamster. Yeah, all the kitchens have the lights running. Now those are really pretty. Just the thought of the people having a view over the mine for the past I don't know how many decades, and now it's coming after them. I really can't believe this. And besides a leaking faucet and some birds and an occasional car, there's just nothing here. This is so surreal. Looks like free power over here. There's never gonna be another class at this school over here. And check out the pretty house over to our left. Kitchen lights are on as well. Other than that, it's completely empty. This must have been such a cool place to live in at one point. And now there's construction machines everywhere. So we're back at the road. And yeah, that's exactly the border, and everything to our right is going to be completely put to the ground. Look at that! Did you see the little bunny? And we made it back to the van. And I'm not even sure if they'd enforce the parking limit, because yeah, all of this is abandoned as well. Well, I don't have a ticket. I spent about half an hour sitting in the car and just thinking about all the stuff we saw and kind of the plan for the rest of the day. I've already done 15,000 steps in a bit over 4 hours. So I'm already pretty exhausted. I did find like a buffet style restaurant. It was one of the only kind of good options around here. So I'm gonna head over there now and have lunch for, I think, 14 or 15 euros, and then probably get some editing done. And I think I'm gonna check out the new city center in the evening. Yeah, I think that's a plan. And also talking about editing, this one's gonna be a wild one as well. I think I'm already up to like 150 clips I took. So yeah, I don't know why I'm doing this real time, but I guess it's just to challenge me. But what's for sure is that tomorrow I'm planning on doing a slower day, and even the next, I don't know, 2 or 3 days probably until we're at the North Cape. But I still gotta plan those, and yeah, I don't even know where I'm gonna sleep tonight. But I think for lunchtime we have a plan. I can relax a bit and get some energy back. I feel even too tired to just drive over there for 1.1 kilometers. And this place just has such a weird vibe. I gotta say, it really is a bit overwhelming for me. I mean, once again, I wish you could be here, because it's so hard to capture and describe. If you can, then definitely make your way over here. Oh, also, I gotta still show you that, because I took a look at those papers and found something pretty interesting. So something about end of July, and then some sort of planning permission dated to August 17th. So I guess they might start demolishing that place then, which means I really just barely got here in time. And that makes it even crazier. And also, if any residents or people affected are watching, that's kind of the reason I put a disclaimer in the beginning of the video. With this being kind of vlog stylish, I just don't know what's expecting me. I thought I'm gonna make a little history fact lesson, but now it's turned into an urban exploring style video without actually breaking in anywhere. But I mean, if you're still watching to this point, and I guess it's gonna turn out to be another quite long video, then I couldn't have done too bad. So yeah, that's enough talking. Let's head to the restaurant. Now that was way too much food. Like, everything on the buffet was with meat, so I asked, or I didn't understand the labels of the food, so I asked kind of what's vegetarian, and she said, well, nothing really, but we can make you something. So I said, well, sure, would love to. And then she brought up 2 huge plates with burger, a bao bun, and then, I don't know, like 20 spring rolls. I took some of the spring rolls with me because I would have probably thrown up if I ate everything. But it was really good, and I don't know how they do it for, I think it was 16 or 17 euros after all. That probably just covers the food cost. Anyways, the restaurant is above a hostel, and I managed to get the Wi-Fi password, but it's super weak outside, so I think I'm gonna go back into the lobby and do the editing there. And then for the new city tour, I'll see you in the evening. Alrighty, so I just spent, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours in there. Oh fuck. That was just too much for me, but don't worry, I'm all good again. So that's when I decided it was not possible to do the daily uploads anymore. I still wanted to see the new city center of Kiruna though, so I drove over there and there was just a bunch of new construction. Parked my van and took a quick walk through the main street and found a lot of hotels and restaurants. Definitely wasn't the most charming place, but still pretty interesting to see an entirely new built city center. Now unfortunately the famous wooden church was still inaccessible after its 5-kilometer move back in 2025. So after all of that I packed up everything, fueled up the van and drove about 2 hours through the rest of northern Sweden, while the sunset was giving me some spectacular views. And that definitely helped get the mood back up, so back to present times. Parking spot right at the Finnish border. And I mean, it doesn't look bad, but check out how many mosquitoes there are. Can you see those? This is crazy. I have no clue how I'm gonna sleep. Not sure my camera picks it up, but there's at least 20 in my car. Then there's like 10 more on me. This is horrible. This thing is doing nothing with the van open, of course. But if I close everything up, then they're just gonna be trapped in here. This is so crazy. I don't think you can see it that well, but they're everywhere. Guess I just gotta take a really quick shower and then get in the van and do some of this bug kill action. I'm trapped in the car and they can't get out. Well, they could, but they're too stupid. What's the problem here? Is it like the dirt hill over here and they're just breeding all over the place? But then I walked all the way back and I'm getting stung as we speak. I wanted to relieve my bladder over there and yeah, I literally had 2 of them land on my wiener. The thing is, I don't know if it's better at a different place, but I don't know how I'm gonna do that. I've already been stung like 5 times. Yeah, it's horrible. I found another gigantic gravel patch and so far it seems a bit better. And I have no clue what that was, but it's a huge concrete slab. I'm not sure if the place burned down or something. A pretty wild camp spot and it's completely visible from the road, so that's not really cool. But at least no mosquitoes. Less mosquitoes. Well, it's actually the same exact situation. There's just tons of mosquitoes. But I found out what place was here before. It's called the Arctic Print, and they have images from the construction site. And it was finished in 2006. I couldn't find anything regarding a fire, and now there's another one. Oh, God. This is horrible. Talking about bugs, just check out the front, and then the roof box. It's just so gross. And most of that is from today, just in between the bars. And on that one, it's just full of bugs. I don't even know how that's possible that there are this many. Like, how do you live here? Well, I took the shower, I got stung, I don't know, I would say at least 10 times. And now there's still so many in here, even though I blew the entire van out. I just covered myself with anti-mosquito spray. Got the deterrent running and also the UV lamp. I mean, with the deterrent, they need to fly away. But there's not really a spot where they could exit the van. Then if I leave the windows cranked, I think there's just going to be more. You'll see tomorrow how it went. Today certainly was a wild day. Both physically and mentally pretty exhausting. It was super impressive to see Kiruna and also get to the realization that I just, can manage to get daily videos out. But I think I'm pretty happy with the choice. And this way I really get to enjoy my vacation. There's still the same amount of content, if not even a bit more, but just spread out. But I guess you've already seen the other video, so yeah. Now from here I'm gonna go pretty straight to the North Cape. And the reason is there's just not many roads you can take. So that's the route we drove today. And then tomorrow I want to get through Finland up into, I think it's called Alta. Yes, exactly. And with that, I wish you a good night and I'll see you tomorrow.